welcome to Trend Talks. Today I have the pleasure to talk with Sylvie Perrin. She's based in Paris. She's partner at the Gaulle Fleurance Associés. Sylvie has 25 years of experience, professional experience in asset management, in project finance, renewable energy and infrastructure projects in France and cross-border transactions. So she is recognized in setting up of complex and innovative asset and project finance deals. Welcome, Sylvie.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ed.
All right, Sylvie, since you're an expert in the French financial market with respect to solar, I was interested to learn more from you. What do you think is the impact of this COVID crisis on the investments and finance projects in France right now?
Well, interestingly, I think we have not had as law firms in France such an incredible year of activity, not only on the renewable business, but also in financing the project. So probably one of the best years over the last 4 or 5 years. This is due to the fact that probably, first of all, we have, of course, state debt, which is always reassuring in an environment a bit unstable. But also the COVID crisis has shown that the T.RE.ND project were quite resilient and solid. During the first term, there were a better resilience, for example, in France, of renewable projects with an increase of about 3% of consumption than nuclear. And 3% consumption worldwide, it was an increase of 1.5. So why? Because we had much more wind production, and we had also many PV plants which were installed in 2019. So that was one of the reasons. If you take France, it's about 480 terawatts of yearly consumption, among which 25 to 20% renewable energy consumption, 70 nuclear. COVID crisis also has had another impact. So as soon as COVID was there, in fact, the Ministry of Energy immediately reassured the profession by issuing some decrees and ensuring also that the court would recognize the COVID crisis as a force majeure crisis, and many measures were taken by the government in order to postpone commissioning of PV plants in order to take into account the potential delays in finalizing and installing a PV plant.
So it was actually a good year last year.
Yes, for renewable energy and for financing the project, certainly it was.
How would your outlook for this year then be?
Well, same trend. We have had some issues at the end of the year because of the fact that the government wants to review certain old tariffs, which they thought was too beneficial for certain producers. So we have had some issue of confidence, but it seems behind because it seems that the impact, at least on the banking system, is not so important. It is impacting some investors, some producers, but not many. So we see that we have plenty of projects in the pipeline, and it's continuing. And we are moving to various types of activities, still an increasing number of multi-site financing. You have plenty of sites where you have PV on the ground, PV on rooftop together. We have plenty of hybrid sites. We have a self-development of stockage projects. Self-consumption, we've had some decrease at the end of the year, and self-consumption has a better legal treatment. So we believe that in terms of profitability, it will be much more interesting, and we'll have a stronger development on PV self-consumption projects. And we see also the first financing of corporate PPAs and start of the hydrogen project. So I think it should be a quite good year in 2021 also.
That's good to hear. And apart from what you're saying, is there more storage plans and also green hydrogen? Are there any other trends, maybe based on certain technology developments, that will have an impact on the market that you see is new trends happening?
Yes, apart from the enlargement of possibility and profitability of self-consumption scheme, what we see is a stronger development of agrivoltaic PV projects, and with new types of partnership emerging between farmers and PV producer, but also more and more public-private partnership with the development of local infrastructure with the public. We see also some sites which are hybrid with stockage, PV and hydrogen. They are not yet financed, but they are in development, and we are seeing some actors looking at this project. Pure stockage project, it's slow, but certainly it will be coming because it has an advantage in terms of stability of the network.
If you look at the financing of those projects, are they all PPA based, or do you already see like merchant solar projects coming up?
It's the beginning. I think we have closed our firm close in December, the first one. As you may know, one of the first most publicized project was SNCF, which has chosen a few producers. One of these producers financed last December, and we did a financing of this first CPPA in France, and we have many in the pipeline for 2021. So I can't say that we are merchant. We have a very good tariff and we have very good bidding process in France, but it's the beginning because you have repowering, which makes sense on the merchant side, and PV in certain cases can make sense when you have some issues, for example, on land, you cannot fit the requirement of a bidding process, so it can be quite interesting to have to go merchant. So we have a stronger development, but it's not, you don't have plenty of financing to my knowledge yet.
No, okay. Nevertheless, you speak about a lot of opportunities in the market in France, and it's growing. What would you consider as the major challenges right now?
Well, I would say that as we have had a big announcement from the state of an assistance over until 2030 of 7.5 billion euros in hydrogen, I hope we will not make the same mistake in bringing wind and PV to maturity, and we will benefit from experience. So at the Platform Vert, which is an association I created 3 years ago, we have various working groups on which we work on anticipating the changes, notably in order to ensure that hydrogen project will be developed and financed also differently. So there will be bidding process, but we need to have a different financing and investment approach. It needs to be corporate, it needs to be project finance, it needs to be asset finance, and we certainly need to diversify for hydrogen. So that would be one of the challenges, at least. And apart from that, we are strongly working on trying to open even more the collective self-consumption project, which can be done at the level of regions in France and can have a very, very high potential of changing the market.
Would you consider that the utility scale projects, is that the biggest market segment in France?
Well, no, residential is not yet developed. So you have an increase of rooftop, which is quite easy because you don't necessarily, depending on the level of production, go to the bidding process, and you can have a very easy way to get a tariff through au guichet, what we au guichet. So you have a strong development of rooftops. On the ground, you still have development, but then we will more and more have an issue of getting the land. So the question now of the producer is, how do we get the land? Are we becoming owner of the land on which we will develop our project, or how can we secure on the long term the land? And what shall we do on agricultural land? That's why also there is a trend towards agrivoltaic, agri-PV projects.
Is there a current a trend or a topic that you're specifically excited about yourself?
All of them. I mean, renewable energy is just fantastic. You have every day something. You have a new rule, you have a new legislation, you have new trends, you need to create things. It's very energetic and creative. So it's difficult. All the markets are very interesting, but of course, being at the beginning of hydrogen, it's something which is great because I've lived over the last 20 years in the renewable market. I've seen the slow growth, and I think, okay, let's not do the same thing and let's bring our experience to go faster and higher.
With that, I would like to thank you for the interview, Sylvie, and I hope to see you back hopefully at our next physical event in France in May.
Thank you very much, Ed, and I will be there.